On this episode of Win TV, how seniors are learning their vote is their voice, a place where video game nostalgia is in full force, and a community that comes together runs together. Win TV starts now.
Afternoon, Wakeland. I'm Rhiannon Klodowski.
And I'm Nick Lombardi.
And welcome to today's episode of Win TV.
Government and econ classes are proving extremely useful to seniors who will be registered voters this year.
Travis Wright reports on how this class can better prepare students to be well-informed future voters.
Government and econ classes have been required curriculum in Texas for over 40 years. In light of the upcoming elections, students get a better view of how their classes apply to the real world.
I think it's always beneficial that students take classes in government and economics. I think it's great that it's offered at the senior year. Kind of gives them a really good kind of introduction. Regarding an election year, that is a different opportunity. It's almost like you're in a learning lab, if you will.
Any knowledge that they have, foundational or opinion-based or both, they then know what needs they have and then what candidate can maybe suffice those needs.
I think being able to be a well-informed voter is really important, and so understanding more about the candidates' platforms allows me to make a well-informed decision.
I am planning on voting just because it is my constitutional right, and I believe everybody should, exercise their rights appropriately. And at the end of the day, I would like to support my party by getting those poll numbers up and showing, enthusiasm.
A lot of adults told us their opinions don't matter, but now we finally have the opportunity to exercise our opinions. And so I think it's important that we show that and show up to the polls.
I tell some of my students that it's almost revolution without a bullet, but a revolution with a ballot. And you can make that change. And we use the process of government and the knowledge of econ to figure out how we're going to use our resources, right, to the best of each individual and each nation.
As the results from Super Tuesday come to an end, former Vice President Joe Biden wins the majority of Texas Democratic delegates, with Senator Bernie Sanders not far behind.
We're doing well in Texas right now.
Only time will tell which candidate wins the nomination as the state primaries continue. But one thing is for sure, classes like government and econ give students a better feel for how elections work and empower them to exercise the right to vote. I'm Travis Wright for Win TV.
Spring break is just around the corner, and there's a new attraction in Frisco to occupy your time. Jack Gingrich visited the National Video Game Museum and tried his hand at the classics.
Are you a sucker for nostalgia? Perhaps a video game fanatic? Then the National Video Game Museum is the place for you. We talked to the owner, John Hardy, to give us more information on this local treasure.
We really wanted to bring, an interactive museum to people. We're not big museum people, all right. It's kind of stuffy sometimes when you do go to museums, not much to do. So what's the point of talking about video games if you can't actually experience that? So the whole purpose was to make it available for the public to come experience stuff they grew up with or learn about newer stuff.
With all of these interactive exhibits around, such as this fully interactive retro arcade, it's safe to say the creators of this museum accomplished their goal.
The arcade is probably one of the most popular exhibits. A lot of things that bring people my age back to that nostalgia, or, even tell younger people how it was back in the day, right? If you're coming here to play Smash or, you think, the latest game that's out there, Call of Duty, you're not going to find that here, right? It's really about the older stuff and learning a little bit about the history. So you have to have some interest in that as well. But you get to see some of what we grew up with, how it was very blocky and how the industry actually evolved.
So whether you're an adult trying to look back on your childhood hobby, or a member of one of the newer generations trying to learn a thing or two about the history of gaming, the National Video Game Museum is a great place to visit this spring break. My name is Jack Gingrich for Win TV.
In light of the recent attack on the running trail in Frisco, members close to this affected have reminded us what it means to come together.
Garrett Bohannon reports on how the running community has one another's back.
On February 17th at 6:20 a.m., a woman was attacked in the trail's neighborhood.
When I found out what had happened that morning, of course, my first emotion was just anger, and then, of course, fear for my friend and concern for her and just wanting to know that she was okay.
Like many neighbors, Kathy Dan, a member of the Frisco Triathlon Club, shows her support. Some neighbors even taking to the Nextdoor app to prove that no one is alone.
I decided we needed needed to do something to promote safety in our community and promote safety for the women, because we have a lot of people in this community that run. I'm part of the Frisco Triathlon Club, and I said, let's get our clubs together to see if we can't put together a self-defense class and try to promote safety in the community and the running communities.
I think it was very important to support those that sometimes in
February 17th at 6:20 a.m., a woman was attacked in the Trails neighborhood.
When I found out what had happened that morning, of course, my first emotion was just anger, and then, of course, fear for my friend and concern for her, and just wanting to know that she was okay.
Like many neighbors, Kathy Dan, a member of the Frisco Triathlon Club, shows her support. Some neighbors even taking to the Nextdoor app to prove that no one is alone.
I decided we needed to do something to promote safety in our community and promote safety for the women, because we have a lot of people in this community that run. I'm part of the Frisco Triathlon Club, and I said, let's get our clubs together to see if we can't put together a self-defense class and try to promote safety in the community and the running communities.
I think it was very important to support those that sometimes in this situation, because we recognize it can be a little traumatic for them. But more than anything, we wanted to send a message.
Look out for each other's back when you're out there. Just the awareness is the big thing.
I'm Garrett Bohannon for Win TV.
One of the newest updates to the iPhone is a feature called Screen Time, an application that allows the user to monitor their phone usage. Vince Villanera has more.
These days, it's hard to find anyone who doesn't have a cell phone. The accessibility of the device has made it a staple in teenage culture to the point that some people think it has become a problem. But how much do we really use our cell phones?
I probably spend, like 5 hours. I think I spend about 6 hours on my phone every day.
I'd probably say like 5 hours. 5 or 6. Probably around like 2 or 3 hours.
Probably 8 hours a day.
We asked students to take out their phones and see how much time they actually spend on their device.
6 hours and 22 minutes. I spend 5 hours and 50 minutes.
An hour and 50. Mine says 4 hours and 16 minutes. My daily average is 4 hours and 44 minutes.
The average person spends about 3.5 hours on their screen every day, but the top 20% of people spend up to about 4.5 hours on a daily average. We asked Miss Sully on her opinion about this topic.
I think it's crazy because it's like way too much, because when do you learn and when do you socialize? Like texting and all that has made it hard for people to have like human interaction.
So I feel like I need to limit it a lot because I feel like I'm on it way too much than I should be.
I need to cut down on my screen time and not be on my phone as much.
I mean, I don't feel like I'm on my phone a lot, but my teachers get on to me, so probably more than I should.
No matter how much time you spend on your personal device, it's helpful to be aware of your technology habits and knowing when to take a step back and take in the world around you. I'm Vince Villanera, reporting for Win TV.
Basketball season has come to a close. Ryan Yarbrough quickly recaps what this year had in store.
Basketball season has come to an end, but not without having one of the best seasons they've had since 2011. With only 4 games lost in the entire district season, they came out first in districts and became by-district champs. Wakeland took on Wiley East 2 weeks ago on February 12th and came out on top with the final score of 81-67. Throughout the season, our Wolverines have worked hard to make this season one to remember. The impact players of the game were Cooper Sisko and Josh Lashstreet. Cooper came out of the game with 27 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. Josh came out of the game with 20 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists against Wiley East. The Wolverines then faced Woodrow Wilson last Friday, February 27th, coming up short at the final score of 62-51. I'm Ryan Yarbrough for Win TV.
Landon Smith has a quick reminder of the important message from Dr. Edge about Power Lunch.
Power Lunch has been a successful addition to student life at Wakeland. However, for Power Lunch to remain in place, we must remember to throw away our trash and not leave the halls and cafeteria littered. Let's do our part as students to keep Wakeland clean in order to make Power Lunch a permanent
Are couples always 100% honest with one another?
A lie detector test will be the judge, followed by Wolverine of the Week.
Do you enjoy making your significant other jealous?
No.
No. Oh, okay. Do you think you're smarter than your significant other?
Yes.
Yes. Have you ever cheated on your significant other?
No.
No.
That's not true.
Do you think you'll marry your significant other?
Yes.
Yes.
There's a problem with this.
Next up, Wolverine of the Week.
The Stone siblings.
I show cattle in FFA.
We're in FFA and in wrestling. We support each other every single match that we wrestle. We cheer on each other, so we become better teammates and better people.
And you're with each other constantly because you have practice together and during the tournaments every weekend and at the shows and the weekends together. You know, since we do the really common things, we get closer. Every time we need anything or if you just want to talk about what's happening, they're there.
We're the Stones and we're Wolverine of the Week.
I'm Rhiannon Klodowski.
And I'm Nick Lombardi. And that's all for this week's episode of Win TV.
Stay forever orange and blue and have a great spring break, Wolverines.